Fame by David Bowie. This isn't the remake. The remake he did for Fame 90 was for Pretty Woman, but this is the original version. Thought it was a good little hip song here to start the show off with. Good little musical part. And there we go. I didn't get that because I turned it down. But David Bowie's Fame 90. Fame, not Fame 90, that's the other one. But yeah, that's a good one as well. So, how y'all doing today? This is Dylan Knows on Sunday, a little bit later than usual, just mainly because today was a championship basketball game for my daughter, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes about what happened. Kind of exciting, but also not great, but we'll talk about that. And damn, this microphone's way up there. There we go. That's more like it. I got a lot of stuff because if you look back at the stuff I've been doing the last couple weeks, last week was my Oscar show. Talking about the Oscars. I actually did better, way better than I thought I would. And I have Variety to thank for that. And I think I'm going to be sticking with Variety probably for the future now, since Entertainment Weekly is no longer going to be doing their picks. Or all the picks anyway. And we'll talk about Variety's big night also they had until near the end. And then I had my list show. And then kind of my out there comic show with MJ Khan where he couldn't hear me, so we were typing all the stuff in. So it's been a weird 3 weeks. I did an update on my computer. Maybe later this month I'll talk to MJ, see if we can try it one more time. If not, we're going to figure something out, or we're going to take a break from MJ being a co-host, which would be a shame because I love talking with him, particularly with Avengers Infinity War coming up, which I got to mention that as well. But because of that, I haven't been able to do my usual info dump shows that I like to do, which is what I'm doing right now, which is where I see what's on the internet, stuff I hear about on the internet that I find interesting or unusual. Also some other stuff that's going on. There's going to be some weather talk, food like I always do, little dissertations on certain things. I got 2 pages full of notes, so we're going to be here a while. So here's some here and here's some here. So we're going to be here for a while. But I guarantee you it's all interesting. I think you'll find it, you'll like it, and you'll like my discussions on it. So Sunday, 12:49. Sure as hell feels like 11:49 now, doesn't it? Yes, I know. I made that stupid corny joke every year. Daylight savings time just happened, so you've had to turn our clocks ahead an hour. I'm okay right now. I'm real tired because I had a rough night last night, but well, later on I had a rough night. Early on it was pretty cool. That's besides the point, and you'll need to know about that. It's right now I feel okay, but it's usually Monday is gonna kill you, and I was kind of hoping that we were going to get a big snowstorm like they had been predicting. Schools might be closed, but looks like that's not going to happen. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the weather. We're going to talk about news stories. We're going to talk about food, games, Black Panther, my wife's birthday, Check I Day like I always do, Pokemon Go like I always do, Kevin Smith, pop-up restaurants, Alexa, Oscars, gaming, power problems from one of my co-hosts, which is, I shouldn't laugh. It's a funny story, but it really isn't when it's not happening to me. It's happening to her. Other information, comic book stuff, Toys R Us, some interesting new products out there that I didn't know about until recently. NASA discovered something really unusual that they were not even expecting. And the movie One Crazy Summer, my daughter saw that. We'll talk about her reaction to that. My kids had a big weekend this weekend. We'll talk about that as well. And what the hell is that? Oh, and more science and all kinds of stuff. So we got a lot to talk about today. So enough of this chitter chatter. I think I'm just going to go right down the line how I wrote it. So it's no rhyme or reason. I might mention like a gaming thing now and then come back to it an hour later with another gaming thing. I'm not really going to jump back and go, okay, I'll do this and do this and this. And I'm just going to go right down the line. Remember, this is about a month or so. It's been about a month or so since my last info dump show, which I should probably start calling these shows the info dump shows. Info dump shows. I like that. So first thing is Avengers Infinity War. Marvel has decided, you know what? We're really excited about this movie. Not really the reason why I'm doing it, but just bear with me. We're really excited about this movie. We're going to move it up a week for the fans. So it was originally going to start on May 4th, Friday, May 4th. It has now been pushed ahead to April 27th, so about a month and a half before Infinity War comes out, which on the surface is really kind of cool, you know. Oh, that's awesome, you know, it's going to be great. But for comic book guys like me, I like that first weekend in May because things are warmer. I usually take that day off to go see the film, and the next day is always free comic book day, and you get a nice little comic book weekend thing going on there. Now, since I want to see it sooner than later, I've had to shift my day off from the 4th to the 27th. So I did that. So I'm still going to see it opening weekend, but at the same time, it's like it's end of April, and April still has that May has that summer quality, you know. So I'm kind of disappointed in that, but I know the reason why they did it. Not only because they are excited to show the film to everybody, which they are, and it's going to be it's going to be a huge hit, which I have no doubt about. It's what we call the Black Panther effect. Black Panther now is in its 4th week of release. Yep, 16th, 23rd, 30th. Yeah, it's 4th week of release. So it has made over $1 billion, which I just broke my own rule. I wasn't going to talk about this till later, but it's made over $1 billion, which makes it a hit. It's the only, I think, solo Marvel film to be over $1 billion, because the Avengers and Avengers 2 both went over $1 billion, and I'm wondering if the Guardians did too, but I don't know if any of the other solo movies have. So that's a big deal. But because of that, they figure they've got a 3-week window. Now they moved to the 27th, a 3-week window to make that $1 billion now, which they were going to make anyway. But they want to say that we were number one, you know, for those 3 weeks, because the 3rd week of May sees the release of Deadpool 2, which they moved up also from June 1st. So they thought, hey, we'll move this up to May because, hey, we think we're going to make good money off it, and there's a week slate of movies in May, so hey, we can make a ton of money. So before they moved, Avengers moved to May 4th, so they moved Deadpool 2 to May 18th, which would have only given them like a 2-week window to make money before they had to contend with Deadpool 2, which was going to take away their money as well. So they weren't going to make as much money. Now, opening it on the 27th, they get that extra week. So you got the 27th, you got the 4th, you got the 11th now. So you got those 3 weeks, and then Deadpool comes out on the 18th. So if you know, like this week, Black Panther made like $40 million, which is still impressive for a movie in its 4th week of release. But that is what Avengers is hoping for. Infinity War is that same sort of scenario where they hit that $1 billion thing right before they have to go up against something that's going to probably beat them in the race. So we'll see. It's just, I like taking that first weekend off in May. I always can. I always still could have kept it, but by then it would have been the 2nd week of the movie, and after the first week, you know, it's useless because everybody spoils everything else, and I'm a spoiler junkie. So I'd go in, I'd read all the spoilers, and I would like to talk about it. So I'm going to see it on the 27th of April, which upsets me a little bit. But at the same time, though, it gives me a little bit of perspective also because my mom turned 70 this year. Her birthday is April 30th. So if I decide to do something special for her, I'll have that extra day on that Friday to plan something out for her, get stuff set up for that the 28th or 29th, whatever I decide for her 70th birthday. I got to get working on that though, because it is only a month and a half away. So we got to work on that. So I already broke my rule, but I'm not gonna continue to break my rule. I just want to say yes, Black Panther is the $1 billion man. They crossed the $1 billion threshold this weekend. To no one's surprise, Kevin Feige is already greenlighted a sequel, and also mentioned the word spin-offs, which means maybe we'll see some Okoye, some Tabuka, and maybe some of Shuri as well. So that would be good because you got more female characters coming into play here, which is excellent. And I still think they need to do A-Force, which have Okoye and Shuri and all them joining with the other women of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it would be a spectacular film, and it'll make a shit ton of money too. So good on them. We saw Black Panther. I think I'll just skip around when I can. We did see Black Panther again. Well, I saw it again. My wife and kids saw it for the first time. Last weekend was Dawn's birthday, and that was the only thing she really wanted for her birthday, was she wanted to go see Black Panther. So we went, and I will be a mea culpa right now. I'm the type of person who says, we'll go about an hour ahead of time. There'll be plenty of tickets. You know, it was in its third week of release at that time. I think everybody who's going to see it has already seen it. It was an IMAX showing, because, you know, they're a bit more expensive. And the IMAX that I have at AMC now, they have, what is it? Assigned seating. So not assigned seating, what you do is when you buy your tickets for IMAX, they show you a map and say, this is all the stuff that's free. Pick your seats. So I say, okay, I want 4 together, so I'll take H1, 2, 3, and 4. And then they'll type in H1, 2, 3, and 4. That'll get filled out as being taken. The tickets will spit out with H1, H2, H3, H4, like at a baseball game, hockey game, football game, where you get your ticket and your seat number and aisle number. And then when you go into the IMAX theater, all the steps are labeled with letters, and then all the seats are labeled with numbers, so you know where you're actually sitting, and you have your tickets that say where you're sitting. So somebody's like, you're sitting in my seat. It's like, no, I'm not. H1, 3 o'clock. I think you're wrong, you know? Or it also fights back the thing where you come in late and the theater's already full, and you're trying to find like a seat or 2 seats together or 4 seats together, so you're walking up and down the aisle asking people, are they free? Are they free? No, this case, you know where you're sitting. So you can't just walk in and just say, oh, there's an empty spot there, I'm going to go and sit there. No, you can't, because it's an assigned seat. Now, if no one had bought that ticket, you know, that's the case. But what if that person was running late also and you're sitting in their seat? Guess what? You're not going to do it. So I don't know. IMAX might have been a bad idea because my son doesn't like anything too loud, and I kind of forgot that. I think we'd seen the IMAX film before, and he did the same thing. It was too loud for him, and there was some scary stuff in it. I mean, my son's 8. I thought he'd be able to handle a bit more, but, you know, he still enjoyed it. I mean, as much as I could tell. My daughter, of course, loved it, and Dawn loved it, so that's all that really matters. And my son, you know, he liked it. It's just I wish he wasn't as scared about it and stuff like that. So we did that. Now, what was interesting about her birthday weekend, her birthday was on Saturday the 3rd, right? Yeah, Saturday the 3rd. And we were originally planned to have the Pinewood Derby race, which was my son's Cub Scout, big thing they do for Cub Scouts, where they make the car and they have a race and stuff like that. And since my wife is the Cub Scout pack leader, she would have to be there. And it's like a 3 or 4 hour event, so they would be there for a while. And then my daughter was going to have her championship basketball game that day as well, early in the morning. It was going to be like at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and then the Pinewood Derby was going to be like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we still had time, so we could see both if we needed to. But that was the weekend where we had the massive windstorm. Now, here on the East Coast, we got it was a nor'easter / heavy wind event. Now, we got more of the wind than, say, the snow and rain and stuff like that. We got a bunch of rain, I think, on that Thursday or that Friday, but it turned to snow slightly. We were supposed to get a lot more snow than we did. We didn't get a lot of snow. We got a lot of high winds. And luckily, our neighborhood, all the electricity is underground, so there's no wires that can get knocked over by tree branches or knocked down by the wind, because everything's underground. So the only way we would lose power during something like this, if something happened at the power station, which is over that way somewhere. So we never lost power. My co-host Jerry did, but I'm not going to skip around to that. I'll get to that in a little bit. So we and the area, basically, there really wasn't a lot major stuff going on like that, but they did lose power at the place where the Pinewood Derby was going to be held, and at the school where the basketball game was going to take place. So both of them got canceled. So no, Dawn had to do scouting for food in the early morning. where Noah and her would go deliver bags to the neighborhood to put canned foods in, and then they would pick it up this Saturday, yesterday. And so they did that, and then our day was free for the most part. So we, what did we do? We just sort of hung around the house for a while, and then I think Noelle and I went out to get some last minute gifts for Dawn, and then and I went on a whole nother tangent. So so I was when I got back from the going shopping with Noelle, Dawn was like, "You think you should maybe buy the tickets now?" It was like 2 o'clock like that, and we weren't going to go to like the 4 o'clock show or something like that. I was like, "No, we'll be fine." She's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, well, we're going to be fine." But then I remembered that I had forgotten to get wrapping paper for the presents I got in Dawn. So I was like, okay, to make you feel better, I'll go to the movie theater, I'll get the tickets, and I'll get the wrapping paper, and it'll be fine. She's like, okay, thank you. So I get to the movie theater, and there's not a big line, but there's a little bit of a line. And I go up and I order the tickets, and the IMAX screen we were going to go to at 4 o'clock was almost sold out. I said almost. It wasn't, but it was almost sold out. And I was like, ooh, and then more people started showing up behind me. I was like, ooh. So I bought the tickets. We got 4 together. Pretty good shot. Really, really high up, but it was good because you got a view of everything. It wasn't too close. And I got the tickets, and I was I texted back down. I was like, you know what? I'll give you all the credit in the world. Mea culpa. You were correct. I should have bought them sooner. I'm glad I bought them sooner because they were probably going to be sold out by the time we got there because there was not a lot of seats left for an IMAX showing at 4 o'clock on a Saturday where the wind is blowing heavy. So luckily, we got our tickets. We got to see the movie, and so after the movie was over, we decided to take her out to dinner. And we originally had planned we were going to go to a screening in Hunt Valley because this was back when the Pinewood Derby was going to be in the afternoon, and then she would have to do that, and then we'd go to the movie at the evening, like at 6 or 7 or whatever. And that was the best time to go out in Hunt Valley was they had a 6 o'clock, 6:30 showing, and there's lots of food places out there, so we can go to dinner either before or after or whatever. But because we didn't have to do that, we got the earlier show here close to us in Owings Mills, and then we still we had decided to go. Dawn wanted to go to this place called Silver Spring Mining Company, which typical type of comfort food type of place. It's really nice. We've been there before. So after the movie was over, we drove into Hunt Valley, which is about a 20-minute drive, and we got right in. There was like a couple of people before us, and then they all got seated. We got seated almost right away, which was good. And then had a nice meal. I had the seafood stuffed shells, which was great. It had crab meat, lobster, and shrimp in it, and it was stuffed shells. Dawn got this chicken crab thing, which is really good. And the kids got some good food too. So it was good food and filling, and it was a lot of fun. And we had a Pokestop nearby us, so we could keep hitting it without having to move anywhere. Pokemon Go, and she liked that as well. And so as we're getting ready to leave, we're walking out the door, and the restaurant is backed up, and it's a 45-minute wait. It was like we got in just at the right time. Then we got back home, and we Dawn opened her presents, and that was really about it. So that was her birthday. So she enjoyed the movie. On the second run through, it's just as good, and noticed a few things I missed before, which is good. So I enjoyed it, and looking forward to it. So what's next? Let's go back up here. Iowa gives gun permits to the blind. Now, when I first started that story, I was back from almost a month or so ago. I thought it was an Onion article. I was like, really? You're giving gun permits to the blind? Now, nothing against blind people. It's just they can't see. I mean, can they hear where they're shooting? Sure, probably. But blind people with guns, that doesn't just sound right. And I don't know what about that. I don't know. It's just a what? I don't know. I'm going to skip that for a second because I'm going to jump back onto what I was talking about. For one of the things we got Dawn for her birthday was a game called Awkward Family Photos. Now, we had discovered this game called Apples to Apples. We had it, I guess someone in our family had given it to the kids for Christmas or whatever. And it was a game I guess a lot of people knew about. And we didn't really know about it. And then one day we decided we wanted to play it. And it's a really neat card game where you get a word, and then you get a bunch of other like stuff that like defines that are weird definitions and silly words and silly definitions. And then you pick the funniest one, and there's a judge who figures out which one they think is the funniest one. They give them the cards, and that's how when you get like 5 of those or whatever. So a lot of the card games that are out now are similar. Cards Against Humanity is slightly similar to that. There's What Do You Meme, which is instead of it being a word, it's a meme, and then you have all the funny lines, and you throw those down and see whatever one is funny, you get that card. And Awkward Family Photos is the same, except in this case, it's awkward family photos, which you've seen on the internet all the time, but instead it's movie lines, movie quotes. So you have to figure out which movie quote best fits the awkward family photo you've seen. And the awkward family photo pictures are double-sided, so you get double the pictures. So you only pick one side. The judge picks one or the other side, puts down the one, and then everybody puts their lines out. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, depending on what you get, but it's also got to be, it can be silly also, and that could be, if it's something totally random and silly, that usually might win it. So we played that for a while. That was kind of fun. So we've been getting more into gaming now, which is, there's a lot of cool stuff out there with games, and we haven't played What Do You Meme with the kids because it's more grown-up oriented, because some of the memes are adult oriented and a lot of the comments are adult oriented also, whereas the awkward family photos, while they are a little bit adult oriented, not too much though, not too badly, the movie lines are not adult at all. So a lot of the kids don't really know what the movies are because they haven't seen as many as myself or Dawn. But still, it's a fun game. Apples to Apples is a good game, also a good one to play with the kids. And then Awkward Family Photos, a little older kids, and my son wasn't enthralled about it, but he liked being the judge, so we let him be the judge all the time, so that was good. I guess I'll just get into this because it is in a row. I have been the biggest proponent of Walking Dead for the longest time. The AMC show started back on Halloween, was it 8 years ago, something like that. And I remember watching the first episode while running back and forth in between, seeing if there was anybody coming for trick or treat. And it was, it was fun. It was interesting, and I was excited because I'd read the comics, and they had done a good job. I'd seen the trailer for the first season, and it looked phenomenal. Frank Darabont has a resume that you can kill for, and so it looked like everything was going to fall into place. Now, that first episode is still my favorite. If you want to see which one we've done, Jerry and I did our best Walking Dead episodes. Top 10 was like last year, I think. So, look into my, go to my YouTube page and look at my playlist, and you'll find Dylan Knows playlist, and it's in there around the 180s, 190 area. So, so then the first season was pretty good. Only 6 episodes because they didn't know how well it was going to go, and it did phenomenal. So then they had a lot of behind-the-scenes issues for season 2. Darabont was out, and they brought in another guy, and so it was kind of it suffered a little bit in its sophomore season, though not in the eyes of Jerry, who put a lot of the second season episodes on her list for top 10 because she liked them. It was for everybody else, but it was still fairly popular, and then gradually it's got more popular like that. Now, they had been following a lot of the same ideas from the comics, like the same sort of general storylines, but Darabont was a bit more about going off tangent from them, and then they sort of did a little bit different. So you made it slightly different enough that fans who've read the comics would not be, it'd be predictable for them, and those who never read the comics would just think it's an entertaining thing. And then they started shifting more into getting to the comic storyline with the governor and stuff like that. But there are always changes you had to make here and there to fit the thing. And so, there was always that balancing act of making it true to the comics, and then making it on your own. And I came to a good adjustment on that until recently. Now, another thing you need to know is, if you've been watching my show, you know about this. 9 o'clock is 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 9 o' kids' bath and bedtime. Well, technically, they should be in bed. Noah should be in bed by 9 o'clock, but Noel usually stays up about 9:30. But, depending on what we're doing to the week, 8 o'clock is when we start doing baths and stuff like that, and then gradually, reading stuff like that and spending time with the kids in the evening before we come downstairs and hang out. So by the time we're done getting the kids in bed and stuff like that, it's like around 9:30-ish. So by then, all the shows that start at 9 o'clock are already halfway done. So we DVR'd them, but at the same time, though, it's 9:30 at night on a Sunday, and you have to go to work the next day. I got to get up at 5 a.m. So if you wait till the show's over at, say, 10 o'clock, and then you watch it on the DVR show, you're not going to bed till close to 11 o'clock, and then you get up at 5 o'clock. It's only like a 6-hour run, and that's not easy. And plus, you haven't been on your phone all day, and you just want to sit back and relax or whatever. So, DVR a lot of stuff, and then I try to find time to watch it, but I just haven't found time. So, and then plus, things happen on Sundays for whatever reason, events, family things, and we miss things. We come back later, whatever, and we don't get a chance to it, and I just don't get a chance to watch it before it's done. So, I'm still recording it, and I'll keep recording it. Maybe this summer I'll start watching the shows, but when they announced that Carl was going to die, it pissed me off a little bit, because to me, the Walking Dead story has always been Carl's story, not Rick's story. And the comics still have Carl still alive, and he's becoming more and more of an important part of the story as Rick is starting to go more and more in the background. And then they decide that they're going to totally flip-flop the script and kill off Carl now and make it a unknown future. I guess they're hoping more for the people who haven't read the comics. Now it'll be unpredictable for those who have read it, and that kind of pissed me off a little bit, because the stories that come after the Negan storyline are actually really entertaining and would have been fun to watch on the screen. Not that they're saying they might not do it, but now you've got to make all these changes and bring in new characters and stuff like that. You should have just kept Carl on there. And if you want to kill somebody else, But, to me, I'm not excited about it anymore. And we'll see what happens if I'm still even going to keep watching it after a while. We'll see. I've been reading the episode guides on Wikipedia, so I still know what's kind of going on. I just haven't actually physically watched the episodes yet. So I'm just not a big fan of it right now, and I don't know if I can even come back to it. So we'll see. This is one I am going to come back to, because I always do check iDay at the end of the show. The day before Dawn's birthday was March 2nd. It was a Friday. Schools were closed that day because of the upcoming storm and the wind and stuff like that. So it was actually because of the wind they closed schools. Yes, they closed schools due to wind. And that flabbergasted me, and I mentioned it, and some people were just like, well, are you crazy? It's dangerous. Have you been out in the wind? Yes, I have been. I live in the area. I know what you're talking about. But to me, closing schools for wind just seems rather odd, considering... Now, look, I know Baltimore County is big, and not all the areas have the electricity underground. And now I guess that was, I started thinking about it in retrospect. Yes, the wind was extraordinarily heavy, and the school buses, they tend to move a lot more in the wind. So it wouldn't be safe to drive your kids in the bus. My kids take the bus. I mean, it's not even that far of a ride, so I think they would have been fine. But I get the rest of the county might have issues with that. And at the same time, maybe electricity will go out. You don't know what could happen, and if electricity goes out while they're at school, what could happen there? Or what if, it's so bad that some of the trees that surround the school, one comes off and falls onto the school, or the roof gets torn off, or glass gets... I get it, I do, but closing schools for wind, we never close schools for wind. And that's the thing that always drives me crazy, is we never close schools for wind. And we've had windy times. We've never... I'm going to remember distinctly, we had like a 6-inch snowfall once. It was a 2-hour delay. They didn't close schools. It was a 2-hour delay. And so I was angry because I wanted to stay home. But no, it was a 2-hour delay. And I walked to school at that time, and I made it to school fine, and we did school and left, and there was no problems. But nowadays, even if there's the hint of something, they will close schools. What drives me crazy is that when we had the icy stuff earlier, that drove me mad also, because by earlier in the day or later in the day, the roads were perfectly clear. They weren't icy. The roads, the sidewalks weren't that icy anymore. It was just that early in the morning. So why didn't you do a 2-hour delay instead of closing schools? If you did a 2-hour delay, you would have been fine. But you didn't. You closed schools. So, and that's a problem for working parents like myself and Dawn. We don't have, our kids are not old enough to stay home by ourselves. We don't work. Dawn can work from home a little bit, but she still needs to be in the lab to do her other part of her job. So, we can't stay home. I can't stay home and work from home. It just doesn't work that way. I have to be hands-on and do stuff. So, that's just the luck of the draw. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be, you can work from home, great, that's good for you. But there are other people out there who are not lucky enough to do that. And, you stay-at-home moms or dads or whatever, good on you for doing that, being able to afford to do that. But we just can't do that. And good on you for having your kids being old enough to stay home by themselves while you guys go to work. I do. I get that. But at the same time, it doesn't work for everybody. And so we have to find coverage for our kids, which usually means one of us has to take a day off. So right now I get 15 vacation days. I've used 4 already. Now, to be fair, 1 was to watch Black Panther, but 3 have been for school closings. So what we decided to do on the 2nd, we decided to try something different, because I still had to go into work, but so did Dawn. I didn't want one of us or the other of us to stay home the whole day with the kids. So we came up with the decision where I would go in the morning and work till about noon, and then I would come home, and then Dawn would go to work from, like, say, 12:30 to her usual time, about 6:30. So we would be half-day work, and we'd both be at our job, and that actually worked out pretty good for us. I don't have to use a vacation day, which is nice. So, it works out in the end. But still, it was a little hard. So, to get back to what I was talking about, so during that period from when I was there in the morning, from about 7:30 to 12:30, it was take your action figure to work day. Now, I had done this a couple years back when I first heard about it, and then I hadn't done it for the last couple of years because I didn't know if it was still a thing. Apparently it was. I just never saw anything about it. So then I started seeing something about it again a couple days before. So like, okay, I'm going to do it again, and then end up only working a half day. But I ended up taking my Aquaman figure to work, and I posted a bunch of pictures of that. So you can check that up on my Instagram page, or even on my Twitter page. I posted it. Check the media. Go to my page on Twitter and check the media, and you'll see all the pictures from that. You can click on that with the comments, stuff like that. So that's always a fun thing to do, and you can have a lot of fun with it, and a lot of people had fun with it at work when I brought it in. Mark Hamill has shown an interest in being in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And James Gunn, who will be directing it, has also shown interest in having him be a part of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So it's a possibility that in a couple of years, when Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out, you'll see Mark Hamill in it. So good on him. And I'm going to skip around real quick again. Mark Hamill also got a Walk of Fame star this week. So good on him. Harrison Ford was there to speak on his behalf, and he made his ride jokes about, wow, I got mine 10 years ago or something like that. So, the way only Harrison could be. But good on that, and good on him for doing that, and well-deserved, I suppose. I mean, he's mostly known as Luke Skywalker, but he's also done a lot of voice work. The Joker is another one of the characters he does a lot in cartoons, stuff like that. He's popped up periodically in a few other things as well, including working with Kevin Smith. Segue. Kevin Smith, this was a couple weeks back. Kevin Smith had a massive heart attack while doing sort of a stand-up type of show that he does. He had 2 shows planned for that night, and the first show, he was having issues, sweating, stomach was hurting, he was throwing up, was finding it hard to breathe, and he didn't know what was going on. And he was going to try to tough it out and do the second show because, hey, these people paid good money to see these shows and stuff like that, and I don't want to disappoint them. But it was just too much for him. I said, I can't. I got to cancel it and get to the hospital, see what's wrong with me. So he canceled the show. His friends took him to the hospital. And so he gets to the hospital, and he gets checked out, and the doctors are like, you're having a massive heart attack in what we call the Widowmaker pump, which is, a vein or pump or whatever, which if he had gone through with the second show and not gone to the hospital, Kevin Smith would probably be dead, because there was a massive blockage in that artery or whatever that leads to the heart. And it's called the Widowmaker because 99% of the time, if you don't get that fixed and you have a heart attack in that artery, you're going to die. And luckily, he got there in time. The doctor swooped in there. They cleaned it out, and he survived. So now he's working on, they told him, you got to cut out all the fatty foods and the sweets and all stuff like that. You got to get healthy if you want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So he's starting a vegan diet now and doing a little bit more exercise. So he's out of the hospital now. So he's been out of the hospital for a couple weeks now, and he's working on it. But the fact is, he almost died. And that's not funny, particularly when it comes to heart attack scenario. So always get yourself checked out, cholesterol checked out, so you don't have one of those things. So good on that. Snow bust. Let me see. Yeah. So it's hard to be a weatherman. I get that, and particularly a weatherman in this area. The mid-Atlantic states, the Delawares, the Marylands, Virginia slightly, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York area, because we are smack dab in the middle, particularly Maryland and Delaware, we're smack dab in the middle of the eastern seaboard. So we get both the northern cool air and more snowy stuff and the southern warm air, more humid stuff. So we get both. So it's one of those things that it's not a joke when you see that we get all the seasons in a week. We could get, a Monday, it could be like 30 degrees and snow. Tuesday, it could be 50 and rain. Wednesday, it could be 46 and wind. And then Thursday, it could be 80 degrees and sunny. That's literally, it's happened before. And it will continue to happen because of our area. But this year, like last year, last year we had very minimal snow. I think we had a total of the whole year of 6 inches of snow, maybe. That's the whole winter, and that's unusual for us. Our average is usually in the 18-inch area. So it was a light snow year. Now, the previous 3 to 4 years, we've been getting hit with snowfalls after snowfalls. So we were doing like 40, 50 inches for the whole winter and stuff like that. Now, if you've lived in the mid-Atlantic like I have for my whole life, starting somewhere in the 90s, you recognize that there's actually a pattern. And if you pay attention to the pattern, what happened last year and this year with very minimal snowfall this year as well is actually very predictable. Whereas everyone's predicting, oh, it's going to be bad, snowy winter, lots of cold air, it's going to be rough, stuff like that. And I was like, no, it's not. I would make a bet. No, it really isn't, because we go in waves. And this has been happening since the 90s. You get about 3 years where you get nothing but heavy snowfall. Every winter, it's blizzards. You get at least one big blizzard. You get 6, 8. There was one winter where we got snow literally every week of the winter. Literally every week of the winter from December to March. Every week had a form of snow. It wasn't always a big storm, but we always would get some flurries here, or at least an inch here or there. It was snowing literally every week during the winter. And so we got our massive 50, 60, 70-inch snowfalls during that time. But then after a certain point, after about that 3-year period, that's that winter going into your 4th year, usually all of a sudden the temperature, gets a little chillier, but you don't get as much snow. It's drier. You don't get as much snow or rain. It gets really chilly. And then occasionally you might get a pop of a warm day here and there, which pops up occasionally. We had a Christmas a few years ago where it was 70 degrees on Christmas Eve. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I was wearing short sleeves and no jacket, no hat, no nothing in December. Um, so then you have this period where it's going to be a little chilly, but it's also really, really dry, and you get very minimal snowfall. And that happens for about 3 years. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, we're getting more snowfall again. So the pattern had been set for a while until a couple years ago, where we actually got 4 years of heavy snowfall. So that was where we were like, maybe my predictions are going to be wrong now. Maybe global warming or whatever is changing the temperatures, the temperate zones, whatever, to cause these storms not to intensify or whatever. And that we're not going to have this up and down anymore. It's just going to be all heavy stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like the winter's gone. It's like, where's all the snow? And they're like, oh, so now it was just an extra year they threw in there. So now we'll see. And here's the thing now, we don't know. We're going into our second year now of minimal snow. And we are looking at what's March 10th right now. 11 days until spring happens. Now, can you still get snow through the end of March and into April? Yeah, we had snow on opening day for the Orioles one year. But again, it's very minimal. It's not a blizzard, and it disappears quickly because of the sun angle. It's a lot warmer now in March and April. So it doesn't lay as much. You might get a lot of snow, and if it wasn't March, you might have gotten 8 to 10 inches of snow. But because it is March, it's all melting, or it melts right away, and it doesn't lay on the ground because the ground is all too warm. Excuse me. So now I don't know if we're going to go into a 3 or 4 year period of dry winter. This is our second year, and there's really nothing I see upcoming in the next couple of weeks. In fact, it's going to get warmer next weekend. It's going to be in the 60s next weekend. So I don't actually see anything major coming down the pipeline. It's going to give us a lot of snow in the next couple of weeks left in winter. And so we can pretty much write this off as another light snow year. So that's the second one in a row. Now, are we going to just go to 3 as next year's winter? I'm already predicting right now. Next year's winter is going to be just as dry. Might be a little more snow than we got this year, but it's not going to be a lot. And then after that, what's going to happen? Because we had that extra year with the heavy snow, are we going to get an extra year of dry? Or is the heavy snow going to come back next year? We'll know in December. If it starts snowing heavy in December and we start getting some big snowfalls in December, then we can start saying, okay, we got the window's now going to be smaller now for drier winters. We're going to get more wet, snowy winters if next year becomes a snowy winter. If it doesn't, then we have to predict, are we going to get a 4th year of this dryness, or are we going to get the heavy snow again? And it's really hard to tell right now. So that's mid-Atlantic snow, and it's really hard to predict. So we had the windstorm on the 2nd and 3rd, which was predicted, and they got that pretty much right. But they were thinking we were going to get a little bit more snow out of it, and we didn't. In fact, it actually went further east, and New Jersey got really hit hard, and I'll talk about Jerry in a little bit. They got hit pretty hard, and then it became a nor'easter, and it nailed the Massachusetts area. So then they were saying, okay, last Wednesday, there was plans for another big snowfall. It looked like that it was building up. People were saying, the northern suburbs, which is where I am, could get up to, 3 to 5 inches of snow. And the rest of the area might not get as much. But when you hear 3 to 5 inches of snow, the first thing that goes to your mind is, okay, they're going to close schools because, they closed for 1 inch of snow. So on that Tuesday, I was trying to get my work done because I figured that I wasn't going to be in on Wednesday because I thought schools were going to be closed because all the weathermen were saying it's going to be snowing. We're going to get 3 to 5 inches. I'm like, okay, they're going to close schools, whatever. I'm expecting. So I get my work done, and actually I wanted to take that day off because it was a crappy day on Tuesday. So I was like, okay, I'll go home. I was telling kids, hey, you might have a day off tomorrow. And like, yay. And then when I picked up the kids, it started to snow early. And I was like, ooh, this is a bad sign. We're probably going to get hit hard then because it wasn't supposed to snow this early. And it was snowing really, really hard when I took the kids from the school to our house. And then the minute we got to our house, it just stopped. Literally, it was like someone turned off a switch, went boop, and no snow was anywhere. It was heavy, and then it just went And I got back in the house, got the kids in the house, and I looked outside again. It was snowing heavy again. I was like, okay, maybe it was just a little lull. And then we had to go right back out because I think Noelle had basketball practice. So I got her back out, and then Noah had Boy Scouts. So I think Noelle had whatever, something like that. So then we got back out, and it was snowing heavy again. And then it stopped again, and then it didn't snow again until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So, okay, here's the snow that we're expecting. So when I wake up in the morning, we'll see 3 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. Schools will be closed, whatever. So about 4:30 a.m., which is right around the time when the news shows start their morning stuff. I say, okay, I got it because the cat got me up. So I went downstairs, okay, and I checked my phone. Instead of going to TV, because with the TV, it does everything in alphabetical order, and I don't want to see just that. I just want to see Baltimore County stuff. So I go to the phone, and you go to the Baltimore County Public Schools website, which will always announce if schools are delayed or closed or whatever. They said schools are 2-hour delay. Now, that's not unusual. So because what they'll do is they'll reassess. So right now they say, okay, it's not too bad out right now, which it wasn't. When I looked outside, it was snowing, but the roads and the sidewalk were completely clear. There was no snow on any of the sidewalks or the roads. It's like, okay, that's not unexpected, but this is just where we are. I'm sure in some of the areas of other parts of Baltimore County they're covered, and that's what's going to cause the schools to be closed because of the heavy snow. So I go back to bed. I tell Dawn, okay, it's 2 hours late. I'll stay with them. It's fine. You can go in to work or whatever. So we sleep a little while longer, and then I get up again around 6, I guess, 6:30. Or actually, no, I had my phone with me, so I was able to. I slept for a little bit, and then I got up like at 6:30 to check again to see if they'd closed. And I checked the BCPS website. Still 2-hour delay. I was like, okay, I'm running out of time, but okay, maybe they're gonna reassess again closer to, because you gotta assess and you gotta make a final call by about 8 a.m. because high school kids start going to school when it's a 2-hour delay about 9:30. So you got to get the buses ready. You got to get the buses out and about, and you got to get the kids, and they got to start getting ready to go to school. So you got to have a final say before, the buses get out there and stuff like that. So I get up then, I come downstairs, and I just start looking at my phone. Dawn goes into work because she's going to go in early, and I'm staying home with the kids. I tell the kids, it's 2 hours delay, but it still could be changed. I was like, okay. And I keep checking my phone. 2-hour delay, 2-hour delay, 2-hour delay. I was like, okay. And then outside, again, the roads are clear. Sidewalk is clear. No problem. And then I started reading some other stuff, and people are like, where's the snow? We were supposed to get tons of snow. So up in Pennsylvania, we're supposed to get nailed. They hadn't gotten nailed yet. What had happened was the storm had shifted further east again. And again, New Jersey, poor Jerry, got nailed harder than Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was supposed to get the brunt of it. But no, they shifted it closer to east. So Pennsylvania got a little bit of snow, a little bit more than we did, but not nearly as much as New Jersey and New York did. So then by about 8:30, it's still 2 hours. Like, okay, that's it. They're not changing it. So get the kids ready. They don't have to go to the bus stop till about 11 a.m. because they go to school at 9. So 2-hour delay would make it 11. They'd have to get to the bus stop by. So we get to the bus stop. The bus is actually there early. We pull up, and the bus shows up at 10:55, which is really early for the bus to show up. So we get in, and it sits there for like 10 minutes waiting for other kids who were coming late and expecting it not to be there. And then we left, and then I went into work. So it was called a bust for the most part because it was supposed to snow more, and it didn't. It shifted, and all signs were pointing to be heavy snowfall. And again, the weather's unpredictable, so the weathermen had to take another one on the chin. So they were still saying something was going to happen Sunday night into Monday. It was going to be it could be even bigger storm than the one that was supposed to hit Wednesday. Well, as of yesterday, they sort of gave up and said, nah, we're not getting anything. The storm's shifting a different way. It's not as powerful as we thought it was. It's going to turn more into rain. It's going to be too warm, whatever. So right now, unless they've changed it in the last couple hours, we were supposed to get snow this evening. I have no snow on my radar. I have clouds. It used to have rain on there, but now there's going to be no precipitation. So we're looking at 41 degrees tomorrow and cloudy. 43 cloudy Tuesday, 38 cloudy Wednesday, 47 cloudy Thursday, sunny 52 on Friday, sunny 52 Saturday, sunny 54 Sunday, sunny 50 or cloudy 54 Monday, cloudy 51 Tuesday. So we're getting to a warm trend here. No snow. So, they were talking as of up to Friday, you're going to get maybe 6 to 12 inches of snow in your area. Not anymore. We're not going to get anything. Now, let's not get too cocky now, because we've already established that the weathermen have a hard time predicting these storms. And they tend to do a pretty good job, but sometimes they don't. So what if we're now going to be we're saying right now, nothing's going to happen. And then we wake up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. and we got a foot of snow on the ground. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Do I honestly think it's going to happen? Hell no, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just going to be, I think the weatherman got this one right. I don't think anything's going to happen. So there's that. So my snow bust there. Turn clocks ahead. We already talked about that. I know a lot of people don't like turning clocks ahead and back and stuff like that. And they always complain about it all over Twitter and Facebook. And yeah, it's hard for a little while and there's no reason to keep doing it, blah, 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 like that. But you know what? In the end, it just do it. It's part of our Americana. It's always going to be that way. I don't think they're ever going to change it. And then you lose an hour now, and then in the fall you get it back. So you get to sleep in an extra hour. And then everything shifts then. So now it's going to be getting lighter later in the day, and it's going to be darker in the morning, and then gradually it's going to even itself out, and then it's going to go in the opposite direction, and it's going to be darker in the evening and lighter in the morning. So it's just the way it works out, and it shows the passage of seasons and stuff like that, and I like it, and I don't mind it. So it's not that hard to change your clock, seriously, people. And most of your clocks now are so smart they can do it on their own. Pokemon Go, they announced something earlier this year called Community Day. So once a month, they're going to have a Community Day, usually near the end of the month, where they will release for about a 3-hour period a specific Pokemon with a specific new fight style that you cannot get any other time except during this time. And you also might get their shinies, which are, they're the same thing except, different color. And people just want to collect them for fun. There's like double XP or double Stardust or whatever, and then you get there's a whole bunch of raids, and it's a way to get people out and about and do stuff. So we've already done 2. The first one was a Pikachu that knows Surf, and there were lots of shiny Pikachus, and that was fun. We did that at a park in Columbia with Dawn's sister-in-law, Catherine, who's a big fan of Pokemon Go as well. Then the last one was in February, near the end of February, around the time a couple weeks ago, actually, when I was still when I hadn't had a chance to have my info dump episode. This was Dratini, which is a very rare Pokemon. They released a Dratini with where the evolution of Dratini, the final evolution of Dratini, Dragonite, will have a special move ability. And if you don't have enough candies for a Dragonite, they're going to release all these Dratinis. So you pick them up and you get them, and you'll get enough, because there's going to be plenty of Dratinis out there. You'll be able to get enough candies to evolve a Dragonite that'll have that specific move set. And then they also will have, the shinies for all of them again, which is, again, a fun thing to do. So this time we went down to the Inner Harbor, again, with Catherine and her boys, who are also fans of it as well, and her husband, Mike. And it was a off and on rainy day. It was fun, but it was just kind of a dreary, whereas the one in January was a beautiful day. I mean, in January, you're looking at like a 40, 45, 50-degree day. I think it might have been close to 50, actually. It was a really nice day, sunny, blue skies, a great time at this park. And then the one in February was this rainy, dreary, off and on. And we went to the Inner Harbor, which was interesting, because they have a lot of stuff down there anyway. So we did a lot of walking around there and had fun with that and stayed out for a long time. This month is going to be, I think, March 24th, which I think is 2 Saturdays from now. It's going to be Bulbasaur, which isn't as exciting as a Dratini or a Pikachu. We don't know what the special moveset is yet for him, because they don't usually reveal that till about a week before the event. And also there'll be shinies and same thing. So we haven't decided what we're going to do with that yet. We'll probably be working with Catherine and her kids again, because it's always a lot of fun. We'll have to pick another place to go. We'll see. But the Community Day is good, a lot of fun. And if you have been lax in your Pokemon Go stuff, keep an eye out for the community day stuff, and it's usually 2 to 5 on a Saturday. And, you know, it's on a Saturday in the middle of the afternoon. What else are you going to be doing, right? Get out there and get back in the Pokemon game, and you can get some cool stuff. So there's that one. Oscars. I have a double shot of Oscars here. I did my Oscar show last week. Here's my Oscar ballot that I read from. And at the time, last week at this time, I was doing a show discussing what my picks were going to be. I really had no idea how things were going to go. I had a bad year last year, and I wanted to have a better year this year because I had my first double-digit loss since I've been doing this last year. So I was like, man, that stinks. So this year I went with Variety. As I said, Entertainment Weekly doesn't do their picks anymore, so Variety did all their picks. So I went with a lot of stuff they did, and then I made my own picks here and there. And ended up doing really well, 16-8. I'm sorry, I always said that, 18-6. So I only lost 6 times. I won 18, which is actually pretty impressive to me anyway. I'll put this up here at the top, 18-6. So I remember. And for the longest time, I deviated from Variety a bunch of times because I thought, well, you know, you can't just do exactly what Variety says because you're really not picking anything then Variety is. So you make your own determination. You think by reading what they're saying, stuff like that, what you think is going to win. There's always some surprises. So there was one point where I was just getting my butt kicked and I was losing a lot. And I was like, ugh, what is going on? And those were usually ones that Variety was I was deviating from Variety. Variety, meanwhile, they were perfect through like more than half the show. They were like, at one point, they were like 14-0 at one point. And then things started to, you know, deviate a little bit. And I think at the end, they sort of maxed themselves out a little bit. They still had a good run, but they started losing a little bit more. But I think they won more than they lost. So they did good. So Variety's a good one. So 18-6. It wasn't a spectacular Oscars. Kind of boring, to be honest. And you know, the good news was they finished before 12 o'clock, which usually they don't do. But this year they did. Though they could have finished it sooner, they went off on this stupid tangent where Kimmel took everybody to this theater across the street from where the Oscars were being, which was showing a sneak preview of A Wrinkle in Time. And they came over there, some of the big stars came over there and brought them snacks and stuff like that. So it took about 15 to 20 minutes of the show just seeing them walk across the street and go and interact with the people in this theater, you know, while the Oscars is just sitting there watching this. It's like you could be doing awards now or whatever. Instead, you're watching on the closed circuit cameras, you know, what's going on. And it was just a terrible, and I checked out. I was like, come on, man, it's late. It's on a Sunday. I have to go to work tomorrow. Get on with it. I don't care about this stuff. I want to see the awards. And that's the other thing someone mentioned, I think it was Jill Pantozzi mentioned, we should move the Oscars to Saturday. And I'm wholeheartedly for that because if you're going to keep doing stupid stuff like that and having the Oscars run for 4+ hours, you know, and keeping it going, as long as it is, do it on a Saturday where people can stay up and watch the whole thing. I mean, everybody can stay up and watch the whole thing and then still have Sunday to recover from it. That leads me to the next point. How do you save the Oscars? Because as our illustrious asshole president pointed out, oh, lowest rated Oscars of all time, because they were insulting him. That's why I said, oh, you know what? America doesn't want to hear me getting insulted because it was the lowest rated Oscars. No, it's because there was not anything that drew the attention of the regular people. You want to hear something? The highest rated Oscars of all time. I'll give you the top 2. The top 2 highest rated Oscars of all time. The first one was the one where Titanic won everything. The second one was where the last Lord of the Rings movie, I forget, Return of the King. Return of the King won everything. Now, what do those two have in common? Titanic at that time was the highest grossing picture of all time, meaning millions of people watched the movie multiple times, and it made over $1 billion+ and became the highest grossing movie of all time. Return of the King was the finale of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which was, again, hugely popular, $1 billion, money maker, hugely popular. Lots of people saw the movies. There's your answer right there. No big money-making pictures were nominated. Now, I know that's not how the nominations work. The nominations work via the actors and writers, directors, and the Screen Actors Guild and all kinds of stuff like that. They all have votes on it, and they vote, and then the nominations come from that. And so most of the time, the people in Hollywood are going who vote on this stuff. They are able to get these screeners of all these films, and they watch them, then they make the determination then of what they are. Now, I think if Wonder Woman would have been nominated for a few more Oscars, I mean, for any Oscars, really, if they would have gotten nominated for Best Picture and a couple Best, just at least got 3 or 4 Oscar nominations. Same with Logan, got more than the 1 Oscar nomination, like Patrick Stewart got nominated for Best Supporting Actor or something like that. You probably would have gotten a few more viewers in to see if these films that you actually saw and went to see, local regular layman people went to see, was going to win. They didn't do that, and it was a low-rated one, and mostly people who are film people who like film, stuff like that, they were the ones who watched it. There's that. So how do you save the Oscars? First of all, somehow you redo the nominations so you get at least 1 or 2 big money makers. Second, you tighten up the length of the show. Yes, it's Hollywood patting itself on its back, and you want to see the spectacle and stuff like that. And this year they did a pretty good job of it. As I said, if they would have just not done the stupid let's go across the street and surprise people watching a movie with snacks, or just a little bit of just some of the other stuff that popped in and out of there. Some of the banter could have been cut a little bit more than it was. If you make it more tight and make it more of a 3 to 3.5 hour show, so that's over before midnight, like this was, but I mean, I would say tighten it up to about a 3-hour window. I think people could stay checked in at that point if it's a 3-hour window, 8 to 11, if you want to do it that way. You do that. And also, I like Joe Pantosi's decision of why don't you move it to Saturday also. That way, more people will be able to watch it. More people can stay up later because they have the next day to recover and sleep in or whatever. So, that being said, you need to nominate Black Panther for Best Picture and nominate them for Best Picture, Best Costume Design, Best Sets, Best Cinematography, Best Supporting Actor. Hell, you can go for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress. Why not go for all that stuff? You need to get a ton of nominations for Black Panther. And then take a look and see what else has got. Maybe Incredibles 2 gets some more nominations besides animated film, because that's going to make a ton of money. Nominate a few other people, a few other movies that, regular lay people want to watch. Avengers Infinity War, a little bit more than just the visual effects, stuff like that. Nominate them maybe for best screenplay or whatever. Whatever's hugely popular now, nominate them. Help, even if you get a nice size horror movie that gets a good thing. Like Get Out was a pretty good size horror film and got some nominations. Now, it didn't bring in the viewers that they were hoping for, but I think if you do a Black Panther or some other stuff like that, you're going to get a lot, because Black Panther made $1 billion. Get Out didn't make that much, so you're not going to get a lot of people to do that. Black Panther made $1 billion. And it does deserve some Oscar nominations. So you work on that. You do a little bit more like that. Next year's, if you get a lot of nominations for Black Panther and any other like popular films out there now, and not a lot of these arty films that people don't see, you're going to get better ratings. And move for Saturday, to God's sakes, if you're going to continue to do these 4-hour extravaganzas. If you want to do extravaganzas, fine, go for it, but do it on a Saturday where people can recover the next day, and then more people will stay and watch it, because a lot of people, they check out after, say, 10 o'clock. It's like, I got to go to bed, I got to go to work the next day. So that's how you're going to save Oscar. Sweet Heat Skittles are out now. I guess it's more cinnamony and some other, maybe a little bit of, some sweet flavored Skittles, but have a little bit of heat in it, because that seems to be the new trend now. People like eating hot stuff. I don't know. Also, M&Ms have 3 new crunchy flavors, which, much like what Lay's is doing with their potato chips, you get to vote on to see which one is going to become a regular staple. You have mint flavored, espresso flavored, and raspberry flavored. And to be honest, none of them really sound appetizing to me. I've never liked mint and chocolate together. I've had a bad experience with that before. I'm not really going to wish to replay it again. Espresso might be nice, but at the same time, it's like, eh. And then raspberry is nice again, but it's got a very distinct taste. Now, right now, I got a red raspberry scent going on right now. It smells fantastic, and raspberry and chocolates match really well. But it's just, I don't know if I could eat a whole bunch of them. After a little while, it gets kind of a little out for me. So buy them now, vote for them, and whatever one you vote for will be one that becomes a regular staple in the M&M world. So go for it. This is kind of interesting. Excuse me. Alexa, the assistant type thing. You say, Alexa, buy toilet paper. Alexa, do this. Alexa, turn on this. Alexa, turn off the lights. Stuff like that. And she's like, you will do. Stuff like that. It's AI for the most part, artificial intelligence. And we've had a situation before where you had Alexa and you had the other, like the Google one. And you asked the Google, what do you think of Alexa? And she says, I like her blue light. And then Alexa answered without prompting, thank you, which was kind of a communication between AIs without her being talked to, and that was kind of weird. Well, now Alexa has started to laugh randomly at people and also stop and ignoring commands. Now, they claim it's a glitch in the system and they're trying to fix it, but that's what you deal with when you're dealing with artificial intelligence. Eventually, it's going to become sentient, and then we're all screwed. So this is just a starting point. Everyone wants the next big thing. They want to get this thing to help them do things and not have to worry about going out there. Just say, hey, Alexa, buy this. And they do. And you have to worry about buying it, and it'll show up at your doorstep. But something could be happening, You never know. So that just seems an interesting little storyline. Pop-up restaurants and bars. Now, they're based on movies and TV shows. Now, this always seemed weird to me. I mean, how do you do a pop-up restaurant? Do you find like a vacant lot or something, and then you build a nice sized bar or restaurant and serve specific food and drink based on a TV show or movie, and then you break it down and move it on? It seems to be a big trend in California now, which I'm not surprised there. The ones that I heard about most recently was Twin Peaks has a pop-up double R diner, which means they go to locations and they pop up and you create a whole diner atmosphere. I mean, you actually pop it up and you have ways to cook food and serve food, and you have tables you sit at and counters that looks like the double R diner from the TV show. You go in and you celebrate Twin Peaks stuff. You can have hot coffee and cherry pie like they have them. It's just the name pop-up restaurant. It's not a real restaurant. It's going to pop up. It's there for a limited time, and then you're going to break it down and move on. It's like the vans, the food vans. It's like the newest level for that. And now the newest thing has a Shining bar from the movie The Shining. They're going to do a pop-up bar that's based on The Shining, which is kind of odd in my opinion as well. And just the idea of just the pop-ups stuff based on movies and TV, it's an odd situation. Now, would I like to see one? Sure, but it just seems like a really, really strange new trend. I've never been to one, so if you have been, leave a message in the comments or whatever and let me know how it is, I may have to go to the bathroom, but I might have to hold it for another hour. Cards Against Humanity will have a Disney theme card deck next, which actually is going to be really cool if done properly. I just got my first Cards Against Humanity game for Christmas this year, and I got one for Dawn also. We haven't had a chance to play it yet because, again, it's more for adults. So we're trying to set up a game night with, say, Catherine or our other friends, Heather or whatever. We're trying to set up a game night to play adult games. And but the fact is, with Cards Against Humanity as a Disney theme one, just it seems like counterintuitive, but at the same time, it's intriguing. It's like, how are they going to do it? And how cool would it be? And I think it would actually be pretty cool. So I think when it shows up, I think I'm going to go get it and see what it is. This isn't on my list, but I just saw this. I was at Target the other day, and everyone knows Uno, the card game Uno. And I mentioned this before, that they were coming up with a card game called Dos. Well, it's out. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't an Onion article. There is a game called Dos from the makers of Uno, and it's done the same way, except I think the only difference now is you can have like a chain of 2 cards that will help you get to where you need to go. Instead of having to pick a card if you don't have the right color or right number, you can do like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing with 2 cards. You can say, okay, it's a red 6, but I don't have a red card or a 6 card in red, but I do have, or I don't have a, I have to read it, but it looks like you can do a chain where you put 2 cards down and that'll connect to where you need to go. I'll have to read that is. So I'm intrigued by Dos to see what it is and see if it's any good. So we'll see. I mean, I'll take a look at that, but it's interesting. There's Kickstarter is always a good thing. Kickstarter is a thing I need to look into because I want to get my coffee shop up and running. And I think if I did a Kickstarter or something like that, or GoFundMe, it would help me do that. But this one is more for my sister-in-law Catherine, who loves Jane Austen. They've actually have a Jane Austen role-playing game on Kickstarter, trying to get the money together to produce a Jane Austen role-playing game. I think that's funny as hell. Like that. So let's see, we're an hour in. Let's do Check Eye Day, since it was on there before. For those who've watched the show normally, when I do these solo shows, I do something called Check Eye Day. Every day is a holiday, literally. There's a holiday every day of the year. It might not be like a Christmas or a Halloween or something like that, but there are holidays. And Twitter's frozen now. And there are all kinds of weird ones, weird specific holidays or days, like, take your action figure to work day and stuff like that. Come on. There we go. Twitter's going extraordinarily slow right now. So here we go. I might have to wait on that. So actually, while I'm working on this, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Jerry's power problems. Now, my co-host Jerry Fletcher, and she probably doesn't want me to mention this, but I'm going to because I think it's really funny. It's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny because it's not happening to me. It's affecting her. Come on. Twitter's all messed up right now. So she lives in New Jersey, and now I've already talked about how they got hit with the heavy storms, both on last weekend, the 2nd and 3rd, and this past Wednesday when we had the big snowstorm. Now, New Jersey, where Jerry's from, my co-host for the list show, she got hit hard both times. So what happened was her power went out on the 2nd of March because of the wind. So she decided, because of this, we're going to go buy a generator. So the next day they went and they bought a generator from Home Depot. They got the generator set up and running, and then all of a sudden the power comes back on. So they really didn't need to use a generator. So they kept it up for a little while, I guess, and then they were fine. So then the next storm comes through, drops more wind and snow on them, actually destroys a bunch of trees in their yard. They lose electricity again. This time, though, Jerry's like, not a big deal. I've got my generator now. We'll get it working, and everything will be fine. They get the generator up, and it doesn't start. It's not working. It's broken. Something happened. I don't think they still know what happened. So they had to get that fixed. But meanwhile, they had to get that fixed. They have to figure out what else they're going to do. They got a message from their power company that the power was not going to be back on until this Wednesday, which is about a week without power. So they were going to try to figure out what they were going to do, try to get the generator fixed, and then meanwhile they were going to stay like at a hotel or whatever. So they go to the hotel yesterday. Power goes out the hotel. Not joking, it does. I think the power came back on because I think they ended up staying there, and then she found out that her power came back on earlier than normal. So I think she's heading back home now, and should be back home now. But my thoughts are with her, but it's still kind of a funny story that it just, whatever she did, it just didn't work and her power kept falling out. Again, not funny because it sucks that it happened to her. and it's a tough thing, but funny because it didn't happen to me, which, knock on wood, I hope I'm not getting karma'd here. So I got this all set up now. So Check Eye Day. So Check Eye Day, as I said, every day is a holiday. And some of them are kind of weird and kind of crazy. But every day is literally a holiday. So today's holidays, remember, this is March 11th. Right? Yes. Yes, it's March 11th today. Check Your Batteries Day, which because you turn the clocks back, and they always say, hey, when you turn the clocks back, why don't you just check your smoke detectors, make sure your batteries are up to date. March 11th is Debunking Day. I guess debunking UFOs and monsters and stuff like that. Is Dream Day, Johnny Appleseed Day, Mothering Sunday, National Promposal Day, which is weird because prom usually isn't until May, but okay. Oatmeal Nut Waffles Day, start of daylight savings time. World Day of Muslim Culture, Peace, Dialogue, and Film. World Plumbing Day, Worship of Tools Day. Now, yesterday, the 10th, was Festival of Life and the Cracks Day, Genealogy Day, Histotechnology Professional Day, International Bagpipe Day, sweet, International Day of Awesomeness, yes, International Fanny Pack Day, Landline Telephone Day, Mario Day, because March 10th, when you write out MAR10, it looks like Mario, was Mario Day, Mario from Super Mario Brothers. National Blueberry Popover Day, Pack Your Lunch Day, Salvation Army Day, U.S. Paper Money Day. The 9th, which was Friday, was Amerigo Vespucci Day, Bang Clang Day, Barbie Day, False Teeth Day, Get Over It Day, Joe Franklin Day, Middle Name Pride Day, National Crab Meat Day, National Day of Unplugging, National Meatball Day, National Preschoolers Day, Panic Day. Oh, the 8th was International Women's Day. So the 8th was International Women's Day, so on and so forth. So again, every day is a holiday. And then tomorrow, let's see what tomorrow is going to bring to you. So you can go, if you want to find out what it is, you follow Check Eye Day on Twitter at Check Eye Day, or checkeye.day.com, and it'll give you a list of everything. So let's see what's going to be tomorrow, the 12th. So the 12th is going to be, come on, it's moving slow. Boom, here we go. It's Commonwealth Day. Oh, come on. Commonwealth Day. Fill Our Staplers Day. Girl Scout Day. Alfred Hitchcock Day. Baked Scallops Day. Scallops are awesome. Plant a Flower Day. Workplace Napping Day. Sweet. Day Against Cyber Censorship. And that's it for tomorrow. So some good stuff. So you can keep an eye on that. I always post the new Check Eye Days in my at Dylan Proco, Dylan Knows Twitter page. So I do it that way. So that's it for that. Toys R Us is shutting down or is threatening to shut down a bunch of their stores. It's a shame because the idea of a store that sells nothing but toys should be successful, because people are always looking for toys for their kids. And I guess the problem is, like with all other shops, you can get everything you want online now, so you don't have to actually physically get up off of your ass, get in your freaking car and drive to an overcrowded store and pay for stuff that way. You can just tell Alexa, order this, or go to Amazon and just order your own stuff. Or, in some cases, ToysRUs.com will deliver stuff to you as well. So why go to the stores? But at the same time, though, you should still have the store to look at, because sometimes it's fun to just walk around and look for stuff, because there are going to be some things that you haven't even thought about. You'll be looking at it, and you'll be actually physically be able to look at it and see what it looks like and move it around and see what it's all about. Say, hey, this is kind of cool. Whereas when you go online, you're like, okay, unless you already know what you're looking for, you're not really going to go and say, oh, okay, let's just list Amazon, list everything that says toys, and then just look at all the different toys. There's going to be millions of them. So I hope somebody, or somehow they're able to keep some of the Toys R Us stores up and running. Particularly, there's the one near us. Somehow, I hope they'd be able to do that. I don't think it's going to happen, which is a shame, because Amazon is basically killing everything. But you know what? I'll be the first to say I still use Amazon. I still like to go to stores and buy stuff. I mean, as I said, I went to Target the other day to get Thor Ragnarok and Coco Pixar film and some other stuff, and still get some gaming stuff from Target and stuff like that. But and then we go to Toys R Us to go buy birthday presents for like my nephews. Their birthday was on Saturday, so we went to Toys R Us and we bought them stuff there. So we still go. I mean, we don't always use Amazon, so I don't know. Speaking of I just want to talk about this real quick. Speaking of the holidays, which I already talked about, Mario Day was yesterday, and to celebrate, Google Maps did a Mario Kart, where basically when you did Google Maps, you can choose the point where you could have Mario driving the path you were going, which was kind of cool. Man, I really need to go to the bathroom, but I got to hold on because I can't go live during the show. Let me see if this is YouTube is coming up with their YouTube Red, where they're doing a lot more this is the wrong thing. I don't need this. Original content, which they don't need to, which they have started to make their way into the new content. So if you get YouTube Red, you'll be able to get a lot of these new shows and stuff like that are only available on YouTube. So they actually they do shows like that. One of them that they're doing is Cobra Kai, which is the sequel to the Karate Kid movies with hold on a second, where is it? Karate Kid. There was a TV series. No, I'll just do the Karate Kid that way. Daniel, played by I can't remember the actor's name right now. It's killing me. Ralph Macchio. Yep, Ralph Macchio did 3 Karate Kid movies, and then disappeared, did some other stuff, but now they're doing a sequel to it that's only going to be available on YouTube, a sequel show called Cobra Kai, and it's going to focus on Ralph Macchio is going to appear in it, but so is Johnny Lawrence, who is played by Jesus, killing me, William Zabka. He's going to be in it also. And I've been seeing some of the trailers for it. It looks interesting. The most recent one makes it look like that it's going to focus a bit more on Johnny, which is good to see how things are going to be with them as grown-ups now, and how he's trying to bring back Cobra Kai, and how maybe Daniel might not be entirely right with trying to stop them from having a Cobra Kai appear. Give him the benefit of the doubt. So that might be an interesting thing to look at, but it would be a different take on it to take the Karate Kid sequel to it and focus more on Johnny, who was the bad guy. Which, to be honest, if you think about it, in the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio's character, Daniel, actually broke the rules because they said you're not allowed to kick in the face, and he kicked him in the face and won the contest. So whatever. That's besides the point. Jon Favreau is going to be writing and producing, and probably will be writing a new Star Wars series. Now, Star Wars is going absolutely bonkers now, and I'm beginning to think they're going to start getting a little bit of oversaturation, because you've got 2 new trilogies, one being done by Ryan, forget his name, the guy who directed Last Jedi, and then you got one from the creators of Game of Thrones. They're doing one. And now Jon Favreau is doing a TV show. They're doing new trilogies. Now Jon Favreau is doing a Star Wars TV show. Now, again, people are complaining because it's all white men doing these things, and need to do a little bit more of, get women or people of color, or people of color, to get a different take on things. And we'll see what happens. Jon Favreau has a proven track record, so we'll see. But again, just sort of like, you know what? It's just too much. It's starting to be too much for me. So we'll see. Rob Liefeld, who is, I've heard he's a really nice guy, but as an artist, he's really not that good. But he became hugely popular in the 90s due to Image Comics' huge popularity and a different take on his drawing. His drawings were new and fresh at the time, even though they are extraordinarily exaggerated and anatomically impossible. And then he pretty much draws the same characters over and over again, to be honest. I got to be honest with you. Yeah, he created Deadpool. Yeah, it's true. But, a lot of the characters he's created, they all have the same thing: pouches and belts and metal arms and big guns and stuff like that. It's all the same. And so he created a whole universe in Image called the Extreme Universe, and had a whole bunch of things, Young Blood and a whole bunch of shows like that. And he did some of the artwork for it and wrote some of it, but he hasn't really done a lot with it, and other people have. But now, because of this whole comic book trend and stuff like that, Netflix has bought the rights to his Extreme Universe characters to create movies and TV shows and stuff like that with his Extreme Universe characters. And again, now we're starting to get a little oversaturation when it comes to comic books as well. I understand why, because when Disney goes to its streaming service, you won't be able to show any of the Marvel movies. But, you're starting to just, anybody who has a comic book out there can be made to a TV show. So we'll see. All right, let's take a look at. Let's take a look at some new inventions. The switchblade glass or switchback glass is transparent glass that, with the push of the button, can turn opaque. Basically, a shower. Your shower is usually clear glass, transparent glass, or your windows or glass or clear glass, so you can see out, and then you have blinds and shades and stuff like that. Well, how about if you have a glass window or a glass shower, but instead of putting blinds in or a shower curtain or whatever, you just press a button and it goes from clear to opaque in an instant, so you can't look in. That's kind of cool, actually, if you think about it. It's a new invention that's out now. It's supposedly, when the power is on, it's transparent, but when you turn the power off, it folds up and closes and becomes opaque. The power is what keeps the glass transparent, but then when you turn it off, it goes like that. So that's pretty cool. Speaking of showers, also, I noticed this when we were watching NCAA basketball yesterday. There's a shower now, a special shower that has multiple buttons you can press for different types of showering. So you can have like easy drip or regular shower, but then you have deluge and the water comes down harder and stuff like that. So you've got a whole different things. You just press those in there, and that's kind of interesting. So there's that. All right, I'm gonna try to run through these because I really need to go to the bathroom. NASA saw something escape from a black hole. They didn't expect that at all, because black holes were, according to science, no way, no gravity could get in, no light can get out, no gravity can get out, that it sucks you in and you're done. But something got out. They don't know what it is yet, and they don't know how it happened or what happened or if they misjudged black holes now. But it's interesting that something came out, and we wonder what it is. Maybe it's UFO. Maybe it's time travel. Because some people are saying, you fly into a black hole, you're basically, it could be actually more like a transporter tube, which transports you to a different time or a different location. So we'll see. I read this story today. A diner in Arizona, and this wasn't an Onion article either. This was an actual story. A diner in Arizona was eating his food by himself when 2 robbers came in to try to rob the place. So the guy, whose favorite movie is Pulp Fiction, decided he was going to try something to see if this might help stop the robbery. Worth a try. I mean, if you're not careful, you could have probably died. In the end, you were probably going to get robbed anyway, so why not try it? So remember the diner scene from Pulp Fiction, where Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta are in a diner eating, and Samuel L. Jackson has come to a realization that he wants to become like a guy walking the world, helping people. He doesn't want to do this killing stuff anymore. He wants to just move on. And they get robbed in a diner, and he ends up stopping a robbery as well. This diner uses the same lines that Samuel L. Jackson uses to stop the robbery in Pulp Fiction, to stop this robbery in the Arizona diner thing. So he had the wallet that says "bad motherfucker" on it, and there's like saying, normally, and he started talking to the robbers like, normally, I would have handed you your asses by now because I'm a bad motherfucker, but you just hit me at a time where I'm changing my lifestyle, and you might want to get out of here before I change my mind or something like that. And he was using a threatening voice, and the robbers, they took it seriously, and they ran out, and he saved the day. that's just a really interesting story. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Pulp Fiction, that's just kind of funny. It's also very dangerous, but it's still kind of funny. Okay, so I can do all that. That'll be stuff for my kids. Cooler tosses a beer can from 8 feet away. It's a neat little invention that I saw also, where there's a cooler, they press a button and the beer thing goes flings out, and it goes boom, and you catch it this way, or you try to catch it anyway. But so it makes you lazy. You sit here, the cooler over there in the shade, you can click on the button, and there you go. You have to get up, and you don't have to go get the beer. That's kind of interesting. A massive geomagnetic storm is going to be hitting the Earth next Sunday on the 18th, which coincidentally enough would have been is the birthday of my stepfather, who passed away in September. But that could be, there could be some disruption in the computers and stuff like that. And nothing's going to happen. We're not going to die or anything like that, because our protective magnetic field. The aurora borealis might be extraordinarily strong on that Sunday. We might even see it down further into the United States than normal. And they might be brighter and longer and stronger. So that's a possibility also. But as I said, your cell phone reception or satellite for your TV or radio or whatever could have some issues from this geomagnetic storm next Sunday. So I think at that point I probably should do a St. Patrick's Day show on Saturday, because if it's going to disrupt internet stuff on the computer on Sunday, it'd be best probably not to do that. So we'll see. Kristen Wiig has been cast as Cheetah in Wonder Woman 2, which is going to start filming this summer. I like it. The Cheetah is going to be mostly computer generated anyway, and Kristen Wiig's a good actress. She's got the character, I think, of the character of the Cheetah down, so that'd be good. The TV show Gotham is going to be doing adaptations of The Long Halloween and No Man's Land. It doesn't make any sense. Both are huge stories that take a lot of time, and they're going to condense into a few episodes here and there. It's interesting that they're going to go with that route, but why don't you just do a whole season of No Man's Land or a whole season of The Long Halloween, or better yet, not do Gotham at all and just do like a Netflix show or a Warner Brothers show where you have Batman and you adapt these storylines into TV shows. That's what I would do. All right, so I'll do I'll do some personal stuff, and then one last big story about comics, and then I'm out of here because I really got to go to the bathroom. As I said, the reason why I started late today was because my daughter had her championship basketball game moved from last Saturday to today. They were playing the team that they had only beaten once the whole year, and every time they lost, it was by a massive loss. So this is a championship. If Noel's team would have won, they would have had to play one more game against them to see who the champions would be. But in this case, the other team beat them, but the final score was 3-2. Now, as I said, when they've played these teams before, the team usually blows them out like 18-6, 18-4, something like that. The fact that it was a huge defensive game was amazing. I mean, it was 1-0 through 3 periods. And all the scoring, the rest of the scoring didn't happen until the 4th period. The defense was good, but both teams were just not getting shots down. Excuse me. But what was interesting is that, and I've talked about this before, there are 2 girls that the coach claimed are her star players. And they were the ball hogs. They always had the balls, and they would always try to make these stupid, terrible shots and these stupid, terrible moves and stuff like that. And they just, they weren't hitting down stuff. They got a lot of scoring during the year, but a lot of the time when we needed them to step up, they didn't. And then you had your secondary people who don't get the ball a lot, but when they do, they make much of it like Noel. In this case, they were down 3-0 with 16 seconds left in the game. Noel gets the ball, and she's the only one who scored. She's got a basket to make it 3-2 with 16 seconds left. So the ball stayed down at their court, and they had to they had a few shots at. They could have gone ahead and won 4-3 if a couple of the shots went down. But the fact of the matter is, these 2 stars, they kept throwing junk up there, and we're getting steals and hit with traveling, stuff like that. Noel, who only played 2 periods, the 2nd and the 4th, she came in, she scored the only points of the game. And it was a beautiful shot too, right off of the backboard into it. She had perfect shot and like that. And yes, I know it sounds like I'm being overly proud of my daughter, but she literally was the only one who scored in that game. And there were lots of people who took shots, and none of them went down. I'll admit also there was a time where she should have taken another shot, but she didn't. She still needs a lot of work also. But the fact is, my daughter, who is considered to be not one of the star players, and just one of those that's always there and never gets the ball, because the star players are ball hogs, despite the fact that my daughter is usually open all the time and in good location, and is known to make shots because she scored half of the points in another game, and the other half was done by another girl who doesn't play a lot and get the ball a lot, and not by the stars. And she's also was the only one who scored in a couple other games, the only one who scored in other games. So she can score when she needs to. So they lost 3-2, but they end up getting second place. So she got a nice trophy, and she got the only points. So people remember that. And then my son Noah had his Pinewood Derby on Friday night, and last year he didn't even place at all. This year he came in second. So that's quite a proud parent moment for me right now. Both kids had second place victories this weekend, and very proud of my kids. So now, So now our schedules get better. Basketball is done, so that frees up Mondays and Saturdays and Thursdays. And that's really about it. So Monday, there's nothing going on. Thursday, my daughter has Girl Scouts, but that's after school, so that doesn't really affect us. So there's nothing going on there. And then Saturday, our Saturdays are now free. I mean, there might be some Boy Scout stuff that they have to do occasionally, but nothing quite like every Saturday was a game, every Monday was a game, every Thursday was a practice. So we're not going to be rushing around. Well, Monday's going to be CCD. I forgot that. So that's just going to be easy to do now, instead of having to rush my daughter from basketball practice to CCD and shoving a sandwich down her throat while she's driving from the gym to the church, which is what we were doing. So good job, my kids. Plus, also, I'm also able to get my daughter into. I'm trying to get her, show her some of the films that I enjoyed and that I still enjoy. I got her to watch One Crazy Summer on Friday as well, and she loved it as well. Great film. I'll talk about later. I usually talk about a lot more now, but I really got to go to the bathroom, and I got one more thing I want to talk about. Now, the big thing I want to talk about, the final story, is a comic-related one, and I'll cover it again if MJ and I can get back together in a couple weeks, is DC Comics has announced a new imprint called the Black Label imprint. They just literally announced it this week. It's going to be outside of continuity stories with creative teams to die for, taking different takes on the characters, and it's going to be done. Let me see, what is it? It's a unique format and release schedule and a new style. So that could mean we might get 4 issues every quarter, an issue a quarter, or a series of 3 issues in 1 month, and then not another series of books for a year or something like that, depending on. But the creative teams they got and what they're doing should be interesting. They are outside of continuity stories, so it gives them a chance to open up their wings and not put continuity at them. Just let them do interesting stories. So we got Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. doing Superman Year One, which Frank Miller really hasn't been that great of a writer lately. So I'm a little iffy about that. I'll still pick it up probably just to see what it is about. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are reteaming again after their Batman run and Metal for another Batman story called Last Night on Earth, which of course has something to do with the Joker, which Scott Snyder, I swear to God, is obsessed with the Joker. Last Night on Earth, so that's going to be like the last, I think it's like their last Batman story or something like that, which is going to, whatever that's going to be about. Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermeo are also teaming up to do a Batman story called Batman Damned, which is also the death of the Joker. So another Joker story. The two of them did a graphic novel called I, Joker, which is pretty good, but still it's Joker again. So we have 2 Joker stories when, in this new style, new format, and they're 2 Batman stories, and they're both going to be centered around the Joker. It's like, come on, man. Use your mind a little bit and try something different. You have carte blanche to do whatever you want now. So whatever. John Ridley, who is the Black writer, maybe director of 12 Years a Slave. He had been announced as doing a project for DC, and no one ever knew what it was. Well, now we do. It's called The Other History of the DC Universe. That one's intriguing because they're not letting us know a lot about it. So I'm actually intrigued to see that, to see what that's going to be. But the one that's got me most excited is I love Kelly Sue DeConnick and I love Phil Jimenez, and the two of them together are doing Wonder Woman Historia of the Amazons. They're doing a Wonder Woman history of the Amazons. Phil Jimenez loves Wonder Woman and has been one of the best Wonder Woman artists out there. And Kelly Sue DeConnick is a great female writer. And that's the one I'm excited most for of all these. Followed by John Ridley's one I think is going to be really interesting as well. And we'll see what Snyder and Capullo can do, because I like Capullo's artwork, and Azarel is a good writer also, but the Joker stuff is driving me crazy. So there'll probably be more announced later on down the line, but right now these are the main ones. These are not going to be out till August, so watch my Comic Haul show this summer, and you'll see those books. I will probably be buying them. All right, now I'm done because I got to go to the bathroom really, really bad. Next week, I haven't decided yet what's going to happen, if it's going to be a regular, another one of these shows, or if I'm going to get Jerry or try again with MJ. I don't know yet. Just stay tuned. It's going to be St. Patrick's Day, so it might be a St. Patrick's Day show. We'll see. And so stay tuned for that. Also, the Comic Haul will be coming your way sometime next week as well. All right, stay warm. Have a good week, and I'm out here because I got to go to the bathroom. Bye.